Hi guys, welcome back to the Gamer Muscle YouTube channel and welcome back to Project Cars 2, where in this video we're going to be talking about the newly announced or properly revealed licensing system and why I think the licensing system is possibly one of the best things to be coming to Project Cars 2, and it's something that should be in all simulators, as we've said in previous videos with Assetto Corsa and when we've been praising iRacing, which doesn't happen that much, but occasionally it does. Now, I'm going to try my best to keep my head steady because I realise most of you probably don't want to be watching footage that looks like a GoPro falling out of an aeroplane. So I'm going to try and keep my head steadier than a Saving Private... Actually, that's pretty bumpy. You can say the Private Ryan Beach scene. Steadier than a Steadicam on full steady mode. That's what we're getting at. I'll try my best. I have a terrible habit... Oh, God. I have a terrible habit of moving my head when I talk. It's sort of like I'm a puppet or like one of those nodding dogs on a dashboard. So I'll try my best not to do that. We'll just keep our head steady like a chicken being dangled. So, you'll see that we're at Catalonia, Spain, and I've picked the Ford GTE car, following on from our inability to actually recognise the vehicles in Project Cars 2. And we'll talk about the car handling, but first, let's talk about this ranking system that Slightly Mad Studios have sort of officially shown off now on their website and officially talked about. And basically, the way it's going to work is all drivers get a safety rating, which is based, I guess, on how much you go off the road, how many contacts you have, but then they also get a skill ranking. So essentially something fairly similar to what you get in iRacing, but actually more similar to what you find... Calm down, Boris. So what you find in Assetto Corsa with the Minnow rating servers. Though obviously in Assetto Corsa it's not linked inside the game, it's a modification. Whoa, we're getting stuck on the car there. So yeah, in Assetto Corsa the way the ranking worked with those Minnow rating services, it is just for Minnow rating services, just people that have totally separate to Kunos set it up themselves as a modification and just for the servers that happen to have Minnow rating. But what's really nice with the Project Cars system is Project Cars 2 system is it's a sort of in-between of what you've got in iRacing and the Kunos thing, but it's inherent to... I say Kunos thing, Minnow rating, but it's inherent to the actual simulator. So it's there for everybody, which is really, really important. And it means that with Project Cars 2, though I think the servers are going to be peer-to-peer, basically, from what they've said, anyone can set up a server and you can choose the skill level of people that can join. Now, that is absolutely amazing when it comes to racing games, and not just racing simulators and more realistic racing games, but if you've ever tried to play a moderately realistic game on console, whoa, dear God, that gave me a shock. If you've ever tried to play a moderately realistic racing game on console, it's just impossible to play online with them because most people don't even seem to understand where the brake pedal is or that you need to push a brake pedal. When you've accelerated a couple of tons of material up to 150 miles an hour, indeed you do need to use absolutely ginormous brake pads to get rid of that energy, but people don't seem to get that inherently, which I guess you don't feel it in a driving game, so it's kind of understandable. Regardless, the result is if you ever played any driving game on a console, it's an absolute disaster online. Just go and watch even now the Formula 1 game footage online and just see how bad it is. Go and play Forza online and see how bad it is. And that was the last console game I really played in multiplayer was the Forza games on the Xbox 360, and I just gave up. It was just pointless. It was alright playing through the single player, but unless you had a bunch of friends that you knew What, do you want to squeeze me more, boy? If you had a bunch of friends that you knew, then it was totally pointless, because it was just a total crash fest. And to the point where you'd have to set up servers where it was just, you had no clipping on the vehicles, so it was just ghost cars driving around, in which case, what is the point? What's the point of multiplayer racing if essentially the other cars aren't actually there? So, I think it's, especially on the console side, I think this is the biggest feature for Project Cars 2, because it means people will actually be able to race. And on the PC side, I think for those of us that really like to do jumping racing, and I think that a big appeal with Project Cars 2 on the PC side, try and keep my head steady, is because it just has a lot of really nice content in there, a lot of really nice tracks, and a lot of really nice features. And I honestly think it'll be the sim game that people will just want to jump in and just play and have a bit of fun with. I'm sure, you know, you can still do serious racing in it as well. And concentrate through here. Recenter. The VR camera's decided to. There it is. Let's get this fixed. There we go. Yeah. So I'm sure a lot of people will play it seriously, and if all the cars are as polished as these GTE cars and the better cars in the games, then yeah, lots of people play it as a pure simulator as well. But outside of that, where it really does stand out, its sort of unique selling point on PC over the other simulators, for me at least, is just how diverse and dynamic the content is and all the situations you can do with that content. So, the fact that it has this ranking system will allow you to just set up a game, jump in with friends, and have reasonably good, hopefully, racing online, which would be fantastic, because it's something that even Assetto Corsa, which is probably the most popular public server racing sim, struggles with, bar the minnow rating servers and the sim racing system servers. Oh, come on, we need to catch up here. Try and be nice and smooth. So, outside of that, and just how it's an absolutely awesome feature... Oh, wrong gear. What I think is really superb about it is the way that it will track your victories and how well you've done, and your just having your safety rating and your skill rating inherent to the game. It's really, really addictive in terms of it as a game's mechanic and something that just makes you want to play something more as a game. Having that reference to seeing if you've improved and where you've done something better, and it's recorded for all history for everyone to laugh at you, it's really compelling as a gameplay mechanic. And other examples with this, obviously iRacing on the driving simulator side, it can be really addictive, not only getting your iRating up, but just making sure you've got your license rating up and avoiding crashes. Obviously encourages you not to crash as well. Whoa! Calm down. But just from your own standpoint of having a reference there to see how you've improved, if you've got better, when you're doing bad, when you're doing good, it works with all games. I mean, I got really addicted to Counter-Strike Go when that first came out. I don't play it so much now because it's a 50-minute commitment per game. But that, just getting just getting my skill level up in that initially was really fun. Going through the low ranks was nightmare because people play terrible, but then you get up through the ranks and you get to a level where everyone sort of plays at the same skill level as you. There goes the back of the car. And it's really satisfying. You also find yourself ending up with more like-minded people and more people that are playing the game in a similar way to you. Same with Rocket League. I've really enjoyed with that each season. Loading it up and ranking up myself in the game and seeing myself improve. And you also just see it's a feedback for the effort you actually put into the game and getting something out of it or reflected back. It's all pointless in the end. None of it really matters anyway, but it's just satisfying seeing that you've got some sort of in-game progress there to a multiplayer game. But going back to that point about, oh god, I'm trying to be as smooth as possible here. This car, the back can actually just pop out if you're not careful. Yeah, going back to the point of like-minded players, and when you get to a certain rank you end up with similar types of players. it's a simple fact with high skilled games and games, you know, games that have a high skill ceiling. They play totally different depending on who you play them with. Now, obviously, driving simulators are different from a game like Counter-Strike Go, because obviously you're essentially by yourself. It's not really a team game. It can be if you're doing endurance racing, you're doing cockpit swapping and stuff. But in general, it's a single player. It's not a team game. It's not single player. It's not. You're doing it by yourself. Dear God, my brain cannot operate whilst driving and talking. This is too much information for the old noggin to process. But I think it'll be really interesting if the system actually does work in Project Cars 2, and you do get matched with like-minded drivers. You'll hopefully end up with lots of really close online racing, and it's all very well if you have a realistic driving game or a realistic driving simulator. And I think, as I said in previous videos, Project Cars 2 does fit in my opinion, with the other PC sim. Oh, we've done it. There we go. I was watching out for that. Oh, no, he's going to hit us. Oh. That corner is so brutal. Every simulator, borderline every single car, that corner just hates me. Lost my train of thought there. Didn't want to spin it at that point in the race. But what were we talking about? Whoa! So actually being able to race with people that are a similar skill to you will produce more close racing. And yeah, ultimately you could have the most realistic driving simulator out there with the best physics, best tire model, best force feedback, best everything. But if it's not got the close racing, then it's not really capturing the racing, you know, it's not really simulating racing. So it's so important, and it really surprises me that it's not something that's in more, you know, it wouldn't be a focus in all driving simulators from the get-go. And then having it integrated into the game is really important, because it means everyone's operating from the same page. Oh dear. Let's try and smooth things out. I keep saying that. I'm struggling so much. I haven't had a cup of tea yet, guys. I've not had a cup of tea yet today. That's my excuse. The way this car is on throttle, it turns in really nice. It's actually a surprisingly nimble car. Surprisingly agile. Turns in on the steering. It's really willing for the back to come out. And on the tighter corners, you can start... The back starts rotating out. You get that kind of yaw action on it, and then you kind of have to just watch out for it with either the steering input or the gas. But if you're on the tighter corners and you give it just a touch too much gas, you're a hostage. But in fairness, you know, it's giving you the warning there to catch it. It doesn't have that much playable slip angle, but you've got the warning there, and with a little bit of practice, I think it's something that will happen less often. Fingers crossed. Actually, strangely, this car has a rather... Oh, keep missing the brake point there. There's a rather R Factor 2 feel to it in some ways. Oh. Doesn't want to stick around here. I think we could do some setup tweaking. This is the default set I'm using. Not really spent much time in this vehicle. Probably do with a little bit of fiddling with it. But the nice thing is, you know, it's communicating what's going on. So for the most part, there's not that many surprises. Oh, there we go. Little bit of bite coming out of there. But I have to say, when it comes to the ranking system for Project Cars 2 and what they revealed of it and how it's supposed to operate, if the actual netcode, obviously it's peer-to-peer, but even with that situation, I mean, it is unfortunate it's peer-to-peer. You'd hope they'd do some private hosting. Maybe they'll do competitions that use private hosting. But if the netcode works to a reasonable level, and there's not people just lagging and warping all over the place, and the ranking system actually operates properly, then I think a lot of people will be really happy. And I think especially on the, we're going around the outside of here, especially on the console side, it may transform the online racing and what people can actually get out of the simulator. And hopefully, because Project Cars 2 is more of a mainstream title, hopefully it establishes a norm that, you know, this needs to be in all driving games. It's not just a la-di-da feature, and it's not something that's just limited to simulators that cost £10 to £30 a month. You know, it should be in all driving games. And anything that's not even just driving games, as I say, anything that's got a strong competitive online component, it should be the norm. Oh, come on, last lap, last few corners. Hopefully my head's been steadier this video. It's a bit of an experiment as well to see how smooth I can keep my head. I need to get one of those plastic you wear if you've got whiplash. That'll keep it good for you guys, because I know VR is a sort of nightmare for YouTube viewers, and it's not the best when you've got someone bobbing the head up and down. But at the same time, I can't really play games in 2D anymore, racing sims and stuff. There goes the brake marker board. That's a strategic decision to destroy that. I just can't. I can't drive in 2D. It just feels wrong. It just feels so wrong. VR just improves things so much. But, whoa, there you go. Look at that. Sideways around there. Showboating for the crowd. Thank you very much. Queen Wave. Whoops. The AI taking control of the car at the end. There's definitely a press build feature there, hopefully. But there you go. That was a little video of us nattering about the ranking system. How I think it's so good. The circuit, the Barcelona Catalunya GP track in the Ford GTE vehicle. Terrible performance from ourselves, but it was good fun driving it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, click the subscribe button, like, dislike, and I will see you in the next one we do, which will be very soon indeed. Take care, everybody.